Drogon flew off with Daenerys after her death, burning the Iron Throne and leaving his destination a mystery. Many theories suggest that Drogon may take Daenerys to Valyria or to be resurrected in Volantis. Despite the fact that dragons being effectively extinct in Game of Thrones, the possibility of more dragon eggs existing suggests a future for dragons in Westeros. Stay till the end to know where Drogon might have flown after Game of Thrones ending. Is the age of dragons over in Game of Thrones? Where Drogon went with Daenerys Body. In the Game of Thrones series finale, Drogon was last seen taking off with Daenerys Targaryen lifeless body, leading viewers to wonder what happened to Drogon. When Daenerys used Drogon to burn all of King's Landing, she emerged as a final antagonist in the Game of Thrones. In the series finale, Jon killed Daenerys as a result of this. Drogon was infuriated by her death and aimed his flaming stare not at the former king in the north but at the Iron Throne itself. Viewers are still perplexed as to why Drogon killed Jon Snow and what he did after Khaleesi passed away. Drogon takes up Daenerys' lifeless body and leaves the Iron Throne, never to be seen again. Drogon was last spotted flying east, but it's not entirely obvious where he was going at that point. This has given rise to a great deal of conjecture, with several hypotheses regarding that became of Daenerys' dragon following the Game of Thrones climax. Even with the addition of some background from Game of Thrones spin offs like House of the Dragon, it is still one of the show's greatest mysteries. The most likely of this, which has been speculated since the finale, is that Drogon went back to Valyria. This is where dragons originated, after all, and Drogon was flying around there in season 5, so it's somewhere he is familiar with. If the idea is that Drogon wants to be alone to grieve with Daenerys' body, it's the most plausible location. The other possibility for where Drogon went is that he took Daenerys to be resurrected in Volantis. It's there that the Red Priestess Kinvara is based, who wasn't seen again after her brief introduction with Daenerys. While dragons are very intelligent creatures, it would make sense that this is what happened to Daenerys' dragon. It's not clear how Drogon would know a Red Priestess could bring Daenerys back to life. As the old home of Targaryens and the birthplace of dragons, Valyria makes more sense as a final resting place for Drogon and Daenerys in Game of Thrones. Unless he really does just keep flying around until he dies. Why Daenerys' dragon may not have been the last of their kind. Not only is it possible that Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal will someday have children, but it's also far from certain that their dragon eggs were the last ones ever found. In the history of Game of Thrones, dragons have at least twice come dangerously close to extinction. The Targaryens were eventually able to replenish their numbers with just 5 dragons, despite the doom of Valyria having nearly wiped them out. The predecessors of Daenerys' dragon then died in battle during a great civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons in House of the Dragon. And after that, dragons grew smaller, weaker in captivity. In A Feast for Crows, Archmaster Marvel reveals that the Masters finally conspired to kill off the last of the dragons. However, thanks to Daenerys, they made another comeback. Just because dragons are absent from the world we've seen so far, it doesn't mean there aren't more out there in the undiscovered lands. Game of Thrones lore teaches two key dragon details. Their eggs are notoriously difficult to hatch, and it's possible to cultivate a large population of dragons from a minimal starting number like the Targaryens. Dragon appears to have no qualms about incest. Even if Daenerys' dragon eggs were the only ones to find their way into the hands of human, there are likely more unhatched eggs hidden away elsewhere. As the eggs of Daenerys' dragon were presumed to be hundreds of years old, any other petrified dragon eggs in existence may still hatch under the right conditions. Finally, the entire world map of Game of Thrones has not been completely revealed. The southern continent of Sodaros is largely unexplored, and as Arya Stark notes when she sets out on her journey in the series finale, no one has yet discovered what lies west of Westeros. Just because dragons are absent from the world seen in the franchise so far doesn't mean there aren't any more in their undiscovered lands. If you like the video, please share, like, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.